Hi, I'm Anna Christina. I am born to a Coptic Christian family. I'm born in Alexandria, Egypt. We migrated to Canada when I was 6 years old. And then we went back to visit Egypt for a few years. My father wanted us to learn the culture, so he moved us back. At 14, my father hired a tutor for me because I was having challenges with the Arabic language. And I fell in love with him, Sam. We ended up dating for a while, and up till the age of about 20, we wanted to get married. My father said it was going to be over his dead body, but because Sam was Muslim and we're Coptic Christians, that's just a no-no in Egypt. Went back to Canada. Then I met Paul in California and we got married. And it didn't take long to realize that I married a narcissist, very self-centered person who breaks your spirit and your soul. Basically, they're insecure and they kind of break you because they can't come up to your level. So they have to break you to their level. I had two children from Paul, Colleen and Andrew. That was my blessings. But after 13 years, I was able to get out of that marriage with a restraining order after he threatened to kill me a few times. Then I get this call from Sam, who I hadn't spoken to for about 25 years. He found me. And Sam, to my surprise, was the person that I always was looking for, the listener, the compassionate, it was a perfect match. At that point, we decided to get married. After suffering for 13 years with the narcissist, I was very vulnerable and we got married. It didn't take long for, of course, custody battles. So much happened, but I was the breadwinner. I was a CFO. And because of his language, he didn't know the English language very well. He was taking care of the house, the cleaning, cooking, the whole thing. Then there were several flags that started to happen. Finally, in December 2008, I was able to talk to Sam and we agreed on an amicable divorce. And he wanted to stay in the house for 3 weeks because he had nowhere to go. So I didn't want to kick him out. And I agreed to that. About the following week, I started having pain and aches all over my body. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't move my head. I couldn't blink my eyes. The headache was just so bad. Finally, he took me to urgent care. They said, "Oh, you're coming down with a cold. Take some medicine." They gave me some painkillers, sent me home. And then Sam started giving me his blood pressure medicine, which brought down the pain from my head. I didn't have blood pressure, but he gave it to me. He knew what to give me, and it helped me. And I was able to go to work. And with all the aches, but at least I was able to function to go to work. It was year end. And on January 8th, as I'm driving to the office, I get this vision. I don't get visions. I've never gotten a visions. And I'm driving and I get a vision of like a funeral and somebody dying in my immediate family. I saw my sisters and brother, but not the younger brother, Steve. And I felt this was a warning from God that something was going to happen to my younger brother who was born mentally handicapped. So right away, I went to the office and I arranged to leave to go to Egypt the following day. I brought in all my staff to delegate responsibilities. And as I'm talking to everybody in a meeting, my head now, I'm feeling it's going to explode. And I'm sitting at my desk and I'm holding my head like that so that it doesn't explode. And I get this message. I don't know how I got it, but it said, "Stop thinking, go home." And I did just that. I just stopped the meeting. I told the staff it was Friday. So I was going to originally leave Saturday. I told them, you know what, I'll probably leave Sunday. I booked for Sunday and then I'll call you guys tomorrow and we'll finalize this, but I need to go home. And I drive home. And as I'm walking up to our condominium, the Holy Spirit reveals himself by talking to me. It's a voice that I hear. And I say the Holy Spirit because right away I recognize it was the Holy Spirit. I have no idea how I recognized it was him. Like a voice started to talk to me in my head. Wasn't like at the office where it said stop thinking, go home. That was not a voice. But this was a voice as clear as I'm talking to you right now. And immediately I recognized it was the Holy Spirit. And again, I never related to the Holy Spirit. I related to Jesus, to God the Father, but I never got the Holy Spirit. But yet there, I recognized who he was. And right away, he went like this, that I wasn't to share or talk or say anything that's happening now that I'm hearing. And I continued going upstairs, knocked on the door. Sam opens the door. Right away, he asked, are you leaving tomorrow or the day after? And I look at him and I say, I don't know. I can't think right now. I need to rest. I'll let you know tomorrow. So Sam tells me he's going to prepare my dinner just for me to go change, which I usually do. He made me my favorite Egyptian dish. It was green beans, French cut beans with rice and meat. And I'm standing there, and behind me is the refrigerator, but I'm looking at it and I have no appetite. I haven't had any appetite to eat lately. So I returned the green beans, which were like in a tomato sauce, and I'm left with this plate of rice. And I'm looking at it and I'm wondering, how am I going to even eat that? It looks so dry to me. And I was contemplating whether I'm just going to leave my plate. And then the Holy Spirit, who did not stop talking to me, says, child, turn around, open the fridge, get some plain yogurt and put it on your rice. Now, the plain yogurt on the rice, that's my favorite way of eating rice. That's how we do it in Egypt. You put rice with plain yogurt. But when he said that, it was like, come again? Like, you care about the yogurt I put on my rice? And he said, child, I'm in every little detail of your life. And when he said that, I was so ashamed of myself. At that time, I was 48 years old. And here I'm discovering this. I don't understand why he's talking to me now. I can't say anything. And he's telling me he's been in every little detail of my life. And I missed out on him. And I do as he does. He asked me to do. I put the yogurt, I take my plate, I go sit down on the couch and I'm eating. And he's communicating with me. I finished eating my rice and said goodnight. And it was time for me to retire. Like I told Colleen goodnight. And I'm puzzled. Why is the Holy Spirit talking to me? What is happening? I brush my teeth. I go back into bed. And as I'm lying there puzzled, he says, child, it's not your brother, it's you. As soon as he said that, my heart was so heavy. I was not ready to hear that it was me. I was not ready to not wake up in the morning. And my heart was so heavy thinking about Colleen waking up in the morning and finding her mother dead in bed. It just broke my heart. But he reminded me of a dream I had a few years ago. It was a dream of Jesus. He was walking, holding Colleen and Andrew in his arms and walking down this green meadow. And they were laughing. And I was walking with them. I just don't know how I did it. We were all holding his waist and he had his arm around my children. But that night, I got it. I was going to be with them in spirit, but he has my children. And when I remembered that dream, I got the comfort of him taking care of them. So I was able to release them to him and be ready to die. I was okay with dying. And right away, he said, child, you're going to go on a journey and you'll be back to be my ambassador. And when he said that, I was able to breathe lighter because I was only going on a journey. I'm not going to die. I'm coming back. So I was like, I got excited. And I said, okay, what do you want me to do? And he said, I need you to relax. I need you to stop thinking. And I thought, that was easy. I can stop thinking. But that was the hardest thing I was trying to do. I couldn't stop thinking. I'm a very analytical person. But he was patient And he was helping me to stop thinking. And it finally got to the point where I was relaxed and I was able to calm my mind and hold it still. And he said, I need you to shut your eyes, but no matter what happens, child, you are not to open your eyes. I said, okay. And I shut my eyes. And as soon as I shut my eyes, a bright light came into the room. Now, this is a light that I've never experienced in my life. It was a light with a presence. It was this brightness that I could feel through my eyes. I wouldn't dare open my eyes. And the presence I felt was the presence of God the Father. And then the window to my right started shaking as if an earthquake was happening in my room. And then my heart started palpitating. And as it palpitated, it was okay, but then it started beating really hard, like it got harder and harder. And as it did that, I got scared to the point everything shut down. The light stopped, went away, the window stopped rattling, and my heart stopped beating. And I'm lying there and I'm going, shoot, I screwed up my death. And he responded and said, no, child, this one you can't screw up. So it was like, okay. He goes, I just need you to relax more. You need to relax, child. And I said, okay. He goes, I need you to shut your eyes. And remember, you're not to open your eyes no matter what. And he went through just like helping me meditate until my brain stopped thinking. And then he goes, okay, shut your eyes. And I shut my eyes. And the light came back in the room. And the window started shaking. And then my heart started beating. And it started beating like it did before. But then it started beating harder and harder. And I felt that it's going to blow up. Like I felt like this is how you die from a heart attack. But I wasn't afraid. I knew the process. So I didn't want to stop the process. And I just hung in there as it was just beating so hard. And then it stopped beating. And the light slowly went away and the window stopped rattling or shaking. And the Holy Spirit said, the next step, child, is an annoyance. And I said, okay. And as he was saying that, I felt a whoosh of pain that came throughout my body, but it was more in my legs. Like I felt my legs as if somebody took a sledgehammer and was breaking my bones. And as that pain was there, he's comforting me and he's saying, child, it's an annoyance. It will pass. And as he's saying, it's an annoyance and it will pass, his comforting words, like I refer to him in the Bible, they refer to him as the comforter. He was comforting me throughout that process. And I was able to think about him and it wasn't hurting as much. I was able to endure the pain and it passed. The pain stopped and I was relieved. As soon as the pain stopped and I couldn't feel the pain, my legs, but then I realized I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't feel from my head to my toes, was numb. And I said, am I paralyzed? And he said, child, yes, you are. And as soon as he said that, I said, oh, no. He goes, I'm sorry, child. And of course, I tried to move my toes and I can't. And as I'm realizing this new reality of being paralyzed, I feel Sam, or I hear him walking into the room and I'm going, okay, he's going to realize that I'm paralyzed. He's going to call 911. But he doesn't. He goes into bed, gives me his bag and sleeps. We had filed the divorce. It was a 2-bedroom condo. So he was sleeping on one side. I'm sleeping on the other since Colleen was occupying the 2nd bedroom. And that whole night, I was lying there paralyzed, but I had the most beautiful night of my life with the comforter. He did not leave me 1 second. He spent the whole night teaching me things as if he was downloading scriptures or stories in the Bible. And he was teaching me in a beautiful way. He wasn't going too fast or too slow. He was the perfect teacher. But in the middle of the night, I remember I needed to go to the restroom and I tried to get up. I forgot that I was paralyzed. And I said, I need to go. And he goes, go, child. And I remember wetting my bed to the point I thought maybe with all that water is going to wake up Sam, but no, of course, nothing would wake him up. And then by daybreak, he got up. I felt him getting up. He went to the restroom, came back, didn't acknowledge me. But around 8 o'clock, I felt he was getting up now. He turned around and he was shaking my back and was saying, Anna, Anna, are you up? And I didn't respond. So I said, okay, he's going to realize I'm paralyzed or something is wrong. He's going to call 911. But he gets up, he comes to my side of the bed and he starts taking my jewelry off. And I'm going, why is he taking my jewelry off? Rather than calling 911, but I'm thinking, okay, maybe he doesn't want it to get lost in the emergency room. And then he takes some medicine and he's putting it in my mouth, but because I'm paralyzed, my teeth are clenched. So he's grinding medicine in my pills in my teeth, and I could taste the bitterness and I recognize it was Xanax. And I'm going, why is he giving me Xanax so early in the morning? But he kept doing that to get it through my mouth. And then he took a mint and put it in my mouth. Of course, just leaving it between my teeth and my cheek. And I'm going, I must really stink that he's putting mint in my mouth before he's calling 911. But he gets on the bed and he starts feeling me with my wet clothes. And he goes, you wet yourself. We need to get you out of these clothes. And I'm going, okay, he's going to clean me up or give me a change of clothes before calling 911. But he takes off my clothes and now I'm naked and he gets on top of me and he hits me. And I'm beyond puzzled at this point. Why is this man me? When I am limp, I'm like a dead body. And then he gets off of me and he goes to the bathroom and I hear the shower running and he's taking a shower. And he left me in the middle of the bed naked. But when he came back, I could hear now the water running in the bathtub. He was filling a bathtub for me. And he comes and pulls me out of the bed to carry me. And as he's trying to carry me off the bed, I fall on the floor and he goes, I can't carry you, you're too heavy. And I'm wondering, what is he doing? Why? I was really thankful that I was heavy. It was the first time I was relieved that I was on the chubby side. And he drops me and I fall naked, crumbled on my side. He doesn't know what to do with me and he can't carry me. But then I guess we both hear Colleen waking up in the next bedroom because her TV now is on. So he rushes outside the room. And I learned later from Colleen, he told her, Mom is sad over her brother who may be dying in Egypt. And she took a bunch of Xanaxes and she doesn't want to be disturbed. So Colleen respects that and doesn't come and check on me. And then he comes back and he starts pouring this cold ice water on my body. And it put my body in shock. I didn't understand what he's doing, but my body's in shock. It's a very torturing feeling with ice water. And he's slowly just pouring it on my body. And it felt like needles just all over my body. And the comforter is still there telling me, child, it will pass. It's only an annoyance. It will pass. And I'm trying to concentrate on the comforter. But then I see a vision of Jesus's hand. All I see is his hand next to me. And it's the vision of them piercing a nail right in his hand. And as I see this vision, I'm ashamed of the discomfort at this point where I thought it was pain and discomfort. I'm ashamed of that discomfort that I'm feeling just because of this ice water. And I'm like, I can endure that. I can endure that. And it stops. And I'm relieved. And he goes away. He walks out. And I'm left there wondering, why is he calling 911? Then he comes back. And this time he leans over and he holds my nose tight. And he's holding my nose tight as I couldn't breathe because I'm paralyzed and my teeth are clenched. So I can't breathe and he's holding it tight. But somehow I went, and a reflex, just a reflex, open my mouth. And as I opened my mouth to breathe, he just let go and he ran out of the room. And this is when I remembered my $1 million life insurance that I had forgotten to cancel when we filed the divorce. And it all made sense now why he's not calling 911. And I'm lying there, even though with that realization, it didn't matter. I didn't care. What was happening to my body didn't matter. The presence of the Holy Spirit was so overwhelming that everything that was happening to my body, it didn't matter. Then he comes back again, but then this time he holds my nose and he gently puts his hand, his fingers over my mouth like this. And at this point, I knew it was it. I couldn't breathe. He wasn't lifting his hand. My chest was suffocating. My lungs were suffocating. And I knew I was dying. And as I'm realizing that this is it, I see Jesus's hand now, not on the floor, but he's standing, all I could see up to his knees with his robe. And he's stretching his hand to me. And I wanted to go with him. And I didn't want him to go without me. And I just kept on going. And it wasn't a feeling of an end or a beginning. Your soul just keeps on going. You look back and your body is there, but you are your soul. I kept on going and I saw beautiful white clouds that opened up and revealed beautiful blue sky. I keep saying beautiful. The colors were like that. Blue sky was just so bright. But around the sky, there were these animals flying. Now, these are large animals flying with multicolors. Colors I can describe. Beautiful, amazing colors. And they're flying all over the sky. They had wings, but large. And then I came to an open meadow with a lot of greenery, and I'm standing there. And I found myself going into a room, and I'm walking in the room. And at the end of that room, I see a body of light at a door. And that body of light I recognized was my mom, my mother, who had died a few years prior. And she had no features. It was just a body of light. But right away, immediately, I recognized it was my mother. Like, we know each other. People ask, how do you know? We know each other. Our souls recognize each other. And I went in, I didn't hug her. I guess we don't hug in heaven. And she walked me in. And as I'm walking in, I see another body of light, which was a little bit taller than my mom. And I recognized it was Nadia, my sister. And seeing Nadia in heaven was just an amazing thing, because Nadia had committed suicide when she was 35. I always wondered where she went, because you grow up in church teaches you that you commit suicide, it's an act of murder, you go to hell. Well, it's not. It's not an act of murder. God, our Father, he's so compassionate. He doesn't judge us the way we judge each other. He knew she was going through a deep depression. He knew her heart. And there she was in heaven. And I remember walking with her. We left my mom and she takes me to another room. And at that point, I am just overwhelmed with joy, to the point I couldn't contain it. It was just so much joy that I'm complaining to Nadia and I'm saying, I can't take it. It's just too much. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with this. I can't contain it. I'm complaining about overwhelming joy. When on earth we complain about stress and everything. And now I'm complaining about overwhelming joy. But she looked at me and she goes, Anna, with Jesus, it keeps on getting better. And I walked out with her and I saw my dad standing next to my mom, and he was another body of light. But seeing him in heaven was just beautiful. And it was a chapter I could close because I knew that his last moments were not painful. He must have felt he had the comforter with him. And we were not talking, we were communicating. And then Nadia starts saying, okay, you guys, we have to hurry. We have a banquet with Jesus. And I'm going, come again? What? Like, she said it so matter of fact, like, so a banquet. It was like, we're going to see Jesus now. It was like, just, it was so hard to comprehend that life on the other side. But somehow I didn't follow. They went, and it wasn't time for me to have a banquet with Jesus because I found myself going into another room. And at the end of that room, I saw a body, but this time it wasn't a body of light. I recognized it was a real body. And it was the Pope, the Coptic Orthodox Pope, Pope Kyrillos, who had died in the 60s. And I never met him, but he was known to be such a loving, kind, down-to-earth Pope. And he was looking at me and he's asking me, child, where have you been? Child, where have you been? And I'm looking at him and I'm going, like he was like scolding me. I felt so bad. And I'm walking to him and I said, I've been going to Calvary Church because being married to a Muslim, of course, the Coptic Church wasn't going to receive us. So we started going to a Calvary Church together. And he goes, why, child? Why? And I say, I didn't feel accepted and I didn't feel the compassion in the Coptic Church. And he said in a rhetorical question, what is your name, child? And my name in Egyptian means compassion. And when I told him my name, he said, child, this is what we're looking for. Hurry up, child. There is no time. Hurry up, child. And he's kicking me out of heaven. And he's kicking me out. And I'm walking fast and I'm going out. And right before I come back to earth, Jesus reveals his face to me. And he reveals it in a very slow manner. And it was a face of glory. But he wasn't the face I saw in growing up watching in Jesus of Nazareth, where the blue eyes, pretty boy. He wasn't. He was olive skin. He was more like the picture of the actor in The Passion. He was more a Middle Eastern look. And I remember I'm thinking, in my mind, you're not as handsome as I thought, because I'm thinking the blue-eyed pretty boy, but I'm thinking it and I'm trying not to think it because I know he can read my thoughts and I don't want to hurt his feelings, but he's beyond that. He's just smiling at me. And I understood later why he wasn't as handsome as we thought, because back then, I think with all these vulnerable women, thousands of years ago, they would have fallen in love with him rather than fallen in love with his message and what he represented. And then all of a sudden, I came back, then I was in my room. And at that point, I can see Sam, and now he had my body next to him. I was still naked, and he's holding my body next to him. I don't know how he got me up there. And he's just holding it. And I'm like, I can't handle him holding me. My body, my soul somehow goes into my body. I jump out of bed because I couldn't stand him touching me. And here I am standing at the head of the bed, looking at him, still naked. I didn't care, even though I was very conservative. And the look on this man's face, just seeing me there, was just priceless, just priceless. I thought I just came back to scare the heck out of him and maybe say bye to Colleen, but it was a journey, all right. And then so much happened afterwards. It's just so many sequence of events. You would think this did not happen in the United States. You would think this happened in a third world country. It's just hard to talk about everything. I ended up losing my daughter because I tried to protect her from Sam, and then I ran into her room naked. So the first husband find that I'm walking around the house naked. And not only that, the police, nobody believed me. They ended up putting me in a mental hospital because he claimed I'm having a nervous breakdown from work as a CFO. I'm just, so emotional. Just so much happened. It was just crazy event after event after event. After I came back and after all this ordeal, I went and I got a brain scan to see did I get a stroke that caused me to be paralyzed. There was no stroke. I went and I got a heart scan to see did I have a heart attack, and everything was negative. And then my lawyer told me, go get a forensic hair analysis. So I did. He poisoned me. I feel after the divorce, he probably was putting it in my coffee slowly. Especially barium has no smell and no odor. And that's what was happening with me, feeling the aches and pain. And barium breaks your nervous system. And I remembered afterwards that he stopped drinking coffee, but he would be making my coffee. And I believe that because I had the vision, I was going to Egypt the next day, and he only had, remember, it was only 3 weeks he would stay. He didn't have much time. And if I left, then it's all over. So he had to finish me off that night. So I believe he put all the poison in the rice, and that's how I became paralyzed. But I don't think he expected me to still be alive. He kept testing and seeing. He didn't realize I'm conscious. He thought I'm out of it, and that's what he did. All that he was just trying to finish me off, and he didn't know how. And at the end, he just suffocated me so that it'd be over with. So that's what he did. And mind you, a lot of people say, how could you be sharing the story? And is it painful to go through it, to remember it? How did you get over that? And tell it with a smile, And I say, again, the encounter with the Holy Spirit was beyond worth it. So this was a blessing in disguise. It didn't matter, the betrayal, everything, all that, and I have forgiven him. And I've forgiven him not because he's worth forgiving and it's because I like him or anything like that. No, he's just not worth forgiving. He is not worth it for me to carry a load and pain and be bitter and think about it. He's gone. He's out. He's out there. He went back to Egypt. It's God to deal with him. It's not for me. So it's an encounter that's beyond amazing, but it was an experience and an encounter that was the most amazing encounter of my life. But the most important thing also in my event was the comfort as we're dying, even under horrific circumstances. I get a lot of parents who reach out to me who lost a child to a horrific set of circumstances. And they are comforted to know that they were comforted with the Holy Spirit. And some people ask me, how do you know? And I say, because I'm nobody. Why would the Comforter comfort me and not comfort others? I am a nobody. I've made so many mistakes. I screwed up a lot of my life choices, but he came to comfort me. He was there. It's not just about death. He was there until I took the last breath, but his presence was there until I crossed to the other side. He wasn't there with me to the other. It was Jesus on the other side. He did not leave me. But the fact to know he has been with me throughout my life and to come back and to know that truth is beyond an amazing knowledge. And I just tell you, don't wait to discover it on your deathbed when he's going to tell you you can't share, you can't talk, and you're going to feel like me, where I missed out on it for 48 years. He's there. He hasn't left me. He doesn't talk to me the way he talked to me when I was dying, but his presence is there. The signs he gives, he's become my soulmate. He's become my partner, and he can be the same to you. Just don't wait till your deathbed to acknowledge his presence. We have a partner. Imagine that. You have a partner that no one else can see, but you can feel. And he's the counselor of the Most High God. He's the comforter. We always go to others to comfort us. I discovered he is my true soulmate. So, if anything, that's my message to most people, is to not wait to discover him. And that's it.